Hi, my name is Ben, and today I want to show you a mini exercise that I did during one of my chapters in my Udacity course. And I had to create a cat clicker with 3 different requirements. And I will show you step by step how I did them. Udacity projects usually have code that already exists. Since I'm doing the JavaScript part, I have the HTML and the CSS already done. But for this course, it's the first time that I get to try out. I have to add the HTML and CSS if I want to, and the JavaScript in there. Now, as you can see, these are not cats. I'm actually more of a dog person, and since I had these images lying around, I thought I would use them. So I'm actually doing a dog clicker. The first requirement that I had to do, I had to have an image of a dog, a title above, and a click counter below. The click counter would implement by 1 each time I click on the image. Let's look how it works. I click once and it increments by 1, and so on and so on. Okay, so for the index.html, I basically added the basics. I had added a title that will pop up on my tab, and then I have the h1 tag for the big title here. I have a smaller title for Mother Pixie, and then I have a clicker counter right here. And each time I click on the image, so I have an on-click function that will show you in a second in the app, and each time I click on the image, it will increment by 1. Now let's look at the app.js file. I make sure that the variable of moves is set to 0. So I reset, it's already set to 0. And then I have the function of onClick that I just showed you in the image tag. Each move or each click will be incremented by 1. And I want to select the ID of moves, which is in this tag right here of moves, and get the inner HTML to equal to clicks plus the amount of moves. So each time it increments by 1, it'll be shown right there. Now let's look at the second requirement. So in the real world, you have a project, you start with one goal, and then while the project is being coded, you get different requirements, and this is just like a real world situation. So for my second requirement, I'm going to have 2 images, a title above each image, and a separate click counter. And just to make my life easier, I'm actually using jQuery to simplify coding. So I have my HTML file. I actually deleted the h3 tag and the counter. I only have the div with an ID of main, which I'll show you why I only have that. And I also added the script of jQuery. Okay, so let's look inside the app.js file. We have this time in a small array. So we have dog0 and dog2. Let me show you now. So I've got Pixie as dog1 or dog0, and I have Evo, the first puppy, at dog1. And I have a name of the dog, which will appear as the title of the image. And then I have the location of the image and the amount of clicks. As you can see, there are no clicks on there, but if I click on the first image counter goes up, and the same for the second image. And this is basically what we want to do. So in the function of add dogs, we want a variable of adding dogs to be empty right now. And then for each dog, with the function that will have the parameter of the dog index is basically dog0, dog1. And then we want the variable of adding dogs for each dog to have a div class of dog, a div class of name with the dog name, as you can see right here. The dog image, as you can see right above there. And then the dog index, which will be 0 for Pixie, 1 for Evo. And then we will want to have the amount of clicks, and it will be incremented by 1. And then we want to select the ID of main, so that's the div we have. And we will append another div with all these other divs in there. So let me show you how that looks. Div of main, and then I have a div with each dog in there, and I have Pixie as the first dog, and then I have her image and the clicks, and it currently has 10 count. If I click on the image, it will increment by 1, and same with Evo, it will also increment by 1. So these are the divs that we have. With JavaScript, we need to initiate the functions that we want to use. We'll have the @dogs function that will start first. For each moves of class, which is on the image, and we'll create a new variable called element or elm, and we'll look for the object target parent element. So the first parent is dog 1 or dog 0. The second child node will be 0, 1, 2. So this is the child node we want to pick. And this is basically the incrementing by 1 function that we have right here. And this is how it works. I'll show you again, just a refresh. There you go, and there you go. That's cool. Now the project lead just got some more information. We have to change our project again. So for the next requirement, we're going to have a list of images. So a list of dog images. Each time you click on each image, it'll pop up in a display window. And in the display window, each dog will have its dog name, dog image, and dog counter. It starts with a list. This time I did use some CSS because I really like to use it and just to make it look nicer. So I have my list of dogs. So I have Mother, Pixie, and then I have the 6 puppies: Evo, Joy, Lucy, Cookie, Vicky, and Vivaldi. And if I click on one, I basically get the image with a nice border. I get the name, the image, and the click counter. And I basically click here. Then I decide to click somewhere else. So I click on Evo, and he's at 0. And I go back to Pixie, and she's still at 7. So we have the index.html file. And this time we have, since we need a list and a display, I have the div of list and a div of ID display. Then we move to the app.js file. This time, since we have our 7 dogs, the array is much bigger, but the name, image, and clicks stay the same. So for the first function, we want to have the dog list to be displayed. So let's go right here. This is the list we want to display. And since we only want to have the name of the dog, we just actually need to add each li tag with the dog name, as you can see here. We want to select the ID of list, and we want to append a ul tag with the class of list, and we'll add these li functions right here. So let me just show you that. So for the div class of list, we want to create a ul class with list, and then we'll have each li tag for each different dog. So now we want to create the display. So first we want to select the ID of display, which is the div right here, and we want to make sure it's empty. Then we want to have dogs to equal to the dog's ID. So we basically have dog's ID or index are 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then we want to have a variable called toDisplay because we want to display the images with the name, image, and counter. And we want this display to have a div class of name with the dog names, a image tag with the source of the dog image, and then the ID of the dog, and then the amount of clicks. Now we want to select the div of ID display and append to display all these divs that we've added there. Here is the click function for which will increment by 1. So there you go. And just to show you that the divs have been added, since we already checked the list, we'll look at the display. Since we have Vicky, we'll have the name of Vicky, her image, and the ID of 5 because she's the 5th dog here. We increment them and the click counter works, no problem. So then we have the document ready function again. Since it's a jQuery, we want the dog list to initiate And then we want to select and for each dog class, as you can see, it's in the image tag. We'll have an ID of dogs, which index of each dog, filter through the function with a new parameter of I, and we want to return I with the name and the object target inner HTML. And then we want to display ID, which is this function right here. So this is the exercise I have. There are actually 2 more steps, but I'm gonna show you that in a different video as they are more complex and I have not gone through that chapter yet. And before that, I'm gonna show you the rest of the images. So we have Pixie right here, we have Evo, we have Joy, we have Lucy, we have Cookie, we have Vicky, and we have Vivaldi. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you very much for looking at my video. And if you want to try it out yourself, I'll leave you the link below for my GitHub and this repository. Thank you very much. Goodbye.